Hello, beautiful human. So, I don't know about your world, but in my world, there's been a lot more attention on the fact that we're in the spring season. There also seems to be a lot more attention on Easter, especially from the people in my world who do not identify as religious, right? People who do not go to church regularly and consider themselves Christians are putting a lot of focus and attention on Easter and what it symbolizes. And I just wanted to offer this to you that I have a few things to offer you. The first thing I want to say is that I think that collectively we're all really appreciating the energy of spring because it's been pent up for a couple of years. So let me say what I mean by that. So I've been studying the energy of the seasons and like really planning my life in alignment to what the seasons support for years now. And spring is all about planning, cleansing, making space, and really rebirth, awakening something new in you. So, contextually, we have winter, which is all about introspection, hibernation, reflection. And then it makes sense that coming out of that season of reflection, we would then have the discernment and the awareness of ourselves to ask, what am I ready to release? What am I ready to let go of in order to make room for new? And where do I want to experience reinvention in my life? Where do I want to rebirth? What part of my life do I want to experience that sort of phoenix moment where I rise out of the ashes? That's what spring is asking of us. And then we move into summer, which is very much get shit done energy. Summer is all about go, go, go. And, there's a lot of everything in nature is in its mode of growth, right? There's not blooms, it's just growth. It's sustained growth. That's summer. If you think about it, the pandemic forced us collectively, not just in one country, but as a species on the planet, we collectively went into a season of winter that lasted for years. And during that winter, we experienced trauma as a collective. That's a lot. That's a lot. And I think for whatever reason, I'm not going to get political here, but for whatever reason, we are collectively starting to peek our heads out of our little wintering burrows, our pandemic burrows, and asking ourselves, what do we want life to look like now? A lot of people are realizing, I mean, so many people are realizing that they want their life to look different. Whatever happened for them during the pandemic, whether they realized that they like to be alone more, whether they pre-prioritize, whether they enjoyed the family time, whether they despised having to do virtual school with their kids and they now realize that's very important to them. We have a different relationship to priorities now. And a lot of people are in the space of reinvention, rebirth. So not only do we have this winter that we collectively as a human species experience together, we collectively experience trauma together, we are now collectively emerging together. And while each of us have our own journey, there is a collective experience happening. The second thing I want to say about that is that both winter and spring seasonally have a very feminine energy. And I don't mean gender, I mean energy. So, feminine energy tends to be very we focused. It tends to really kind of sit back and make space for things to come. We kind of pull things towards us when we're our feminine energy. When you're in your masculine energy, it tends to be more I focused and more like, let's push to make stuff happen, right? Let me push to get that goal done. There's nothing right or wrong about either energy, they're just different. And so, both winter and spring, the spaces we've been in as a species, have been feminine in nature. We are getting ready as a collective to move into a time of summer, into a time of let's get shit done. Let's move this thing forward. And then autumn also has that same energy. And I don't mean like literally we're moving into summer, yes, on the planet, but I mean collectively in our consciousness. We had 2 years of winter. I feel like we're in the midst of a spring, which is going to last more than just a few months, right? It's probably going to last through August, September, October, who knows when spring will feel like it ends. The next sort of space for us to naturally move into is a summer energy. Here's why I think that's important. One, because we're physically moving into summer, and two, because it's not often on our planet that all human beings have a similar experience. We have such drastically different cultures, such different climates, such different perspectives and ways of living, such different economic statuses, right? That we often are having very different experiences. This is the first global event we've had that's this unifying in generations. And I think it's worth putting some attention on. I think it's worth considering, how are you reinventing yourself, and how is everyone else around you reinventing themselves? Where can you offer some grace, some generosity, some compassion to other people, knowing that they also are in a state of reinvention, knowing that they are grieving what they have released and what they lost, that they are maybe a little confused and overwhelmed and shy and maybe not super confident about what's next for them? How can we hold space for each other to collectively go through this reinvention process? And how can we be thoughtful about how we move into this next phase, the summer phase of get shit done? How can we be thoughtful about doing that in a way that doesn't just trample over everyone around us? How can we do it in a way that stays in this collective energy so that we can work together to achieve some common goals? We've seen a lot of shifts happening around conversations for very big human rights topics. What if we collectively reinvented ourselves to care about other human beings, and then we collectively move towards getting shit done in a way that included everybody? There's just a lot of possibilities in front of us right now, and I wanted to get that out of my head, out into the ether. If you were thinking of it and couldn't put words to it, I wanted to give you the language. If you have been feeling it and couldn't put words to it, I wanted to articulate it for you. And if you're also thinking about it and talking about it, hallelujah. Because I think the more of us that do, the more likely we can really embody this collective experience we've had and allow it to move us forward towards something positive, towards an improvement in some way. I don't know what all of this means. I'm still in the process of it myself. I do know that one of the ways that it's manifesting for me is that I've been circling around ministerial school for a long time. I've been pursuing an ordination for a long time. I finally got my application in. I finally put my name in the hat and said, yes, I really do want to get ordained. Tell me how to do that. So for me, it's manifesting in a deepening of my spiritual journey and an embodiment of my calling to be a leader in that space. I would love to hear how it's showing up for you, what reinvention looks like for you, what you're noticing for those around you, how you're holding space for those around you. I think the more we talk about this, the more we can bring it from like sort of a hidden blind spot, sort of we know it's happening, but we don't know that we know it's happening. The more we talk about it and bring it into the forefront, the more we can be intentional about it. And I think that's going to be super juicy. So if you've made it this far in the video, thank you. We don't often watch 8-minute long videos anymore. And I would love to hear from you. I genuinely love human beings. I genuinely want to know what you think. So below this video, there is a link to email me. There's a link to schedule a 15-minute call with me, like I know, old school phone call. There's also a link to a workshop series that I just put out into the world about seasonal energy. So if you're curious about winter, spring, summer, autumn vibes and like what activities go with that and what I mean by their energy, I have a whole workshop series for each of the seasons. So you can learn more about that below too. But anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for caring. And I hope to hear from you. Let's keep this conversation going. Let's make it an actual conversation that we're having.